All right, I took down an old video on solar curve, and I realized how terrible my old audio video was. So I'm remaking it. And the reason I'm remaking it is because I have a lot of new subscribers and a lot of people, there's so many posts in there. A lot of people don't go back to the beginning. So this is kind of just a bonus one. I've been putting out a lot more videos that I promised 2 a month. So I'm putting out more than 2 a month, and I hope you guys appreciate that. But for this one, it's just a remake. So if you already have solar curves and you're using it and you've created the action, that's great. I'm going to show you how to make the solar curve. So if you've never done this, or you don't know why I use it, or you hear me using this term, or you see weird things pop up on my screen on my editing videos, this is what a solar curve is. And here's what I use it for. This is an image by Edgar Molina. It's one of the best Canada Goose images I have ever seen. And it is perfect, except there is a mistake in it. I put the mistake in it because Edgar's too good for mistakes. And if you were looking at this and we just said, hey, I'm ready to print this, file looks great. Okay, I'm going to print it. And this is a true life story. This has actually happened to me, and it's happened to other people I know, where they printed it and then they thought, oh, what the hell is all that? Where did that come from? Especially when they print big. Depending on how big your monitor is, sometimes we get lazy and we don't check every inch of the picture before we go to print it or post it. I will tell you a private story. A world famous photographer and judge of major competitions once posted a video on Instagram, and you could tell that and again, this is a judge who kind of claims to be a purist sometimes, I think, but cloned out some stuff. And in that process, and this is when it typically happens, the soft edge of the brush picks up something on a stick or a bird, and then they clone and they repeat that pattern very faintly so it can barely be seen. And again, so when you're not looking close, and that's why I use the solar curve. What the solar curve does, in essence, is it adds just mega contrast to the entire image. It doesn't look real anymore, but it adds so much contrast, everything stands out. So I'm going to show you what a solar curve looks like if you've never seen it. This is my action for it up here. Up at the top, you'll see it says solar curve. I'm going to move myself actually up here now because we're not going to do the actions. I want you to see the layers. And I hit play on that solar curve, and here it goes. And it's doing it step by step. That is what the curve is going to look like, and we're going to make this. So my action, I set it to pause. So I'm just stopping each part of the action, and there it is. Now it doesn't look like the same image from Edgar anymore. And here's the new layer. It puts a layer. This action creates the layer and moves it to the top. And what I do now is I look through with the solar curve on. And what you may see sometimes are little errors. Now here's one, and this is the one I implanted in there. And it wasn't obvious. In other words, you would never, even if I zoom in, you can't see it. I did make this a little faint, so here, let me magnify it. I'll double the layers to make it more obvious. All right. Now you still don't really see it, but it's there. And what it is it's a clone that I just softly grabbed out here and colored up here. And when I did that, a little bit of the wing right there got copied. So if you look here, it got copied right there. That's pretty mild, and maybe you wouldn't notice it, but maybe you would. But it's the kind of thing that easily gets missed. Another thing, every now and then I'll have like a little line through my photo that I don't see, a spider web or something like that I don't really just notice. And then you put this on it and it's like, oh my gosh, like that's incredible. How did I miss that? So this is a very powerful tool. Here's another thing that'll commonly happen. People will clone from here. Let me see if I can get the right, okay, and paint there. Oops, let me make a new layer for this one. So new layer. So clone from here, paint here. All right, and everything looks fine until I put the solar curve on. Let me see if I can make it happen. Let me try it again. There it is. Okay. So right now you don't really see anything awful because it's so dark over there. But when I put the solar curve on, watch this. See that line right there? It's really obvious. I cloned the edge and I accidentally copied it on there. I won't name names, but one of my students did this recently, and there were 5 lines in the photograph that they didn't see. And when you put that solar curve on, boom, they all stood out. So anyway, that's a powerful tool. So how do you make it? It's pretty easy. Let me get rid of all of this stuff here. You simply take a curve adjust layer and you start dragging the hell out of it. So here's my curve adjust layer. You can bring these boxes. I have it locked in a panel, but you could bring it out here if you want. And you can resize it. So, and then you just take, and when you do the curve adjust, we generally do this to dodge and burn or to increase the exposure a little bit. But in this case, what we're going to do is go crazy. So we're going to go up and then down and then up and then down, up and down. And I think I got to do one more. It's not an exact science, by the way. The more curves you add, just more contrast you get. The ones I've always used have been have consisted of 4 peaks that end on the side, so something like this. All right, and then you just want to play around and get them a little even. So you take all these points and you try to get them right to the bottom. It does not have, it's not a perfect science. I know some people are OCD and they're going to want to try to get these curves matched up perfectly. I'm sure there's some formula to do this, or some cheat mathematical formula. Roger Applegate will probably figure that out. He likes to do that kind of stuff. All right. So something like this works. And that would be my solar curve. All right. So there it is. 4 peaks, 1, 2, 3, 4, and the 5th one ends at the top, and then 4 spots at the bottom. And again, it does not have to be perfect. You'll know you get it perfect when the output, when that little pin says output is 0. That means you hit the little thing perfectly. And at the top, color ranges on colors go from 0 to 255. I don't know, again, the mathematics behind that, but RGB have values from 0 to 255. So those are common numbers that you'll see. So that's why the when you go to the bottom, it's 0. The top is 255. And in this case, it's light and dark. So 0 is the darkest and 255 would be the lightest. I think I got that right. All right, here's my curve. There it is. It's done. Now, if I want to, and I'm going to just drag this back over. So I keep this. Where do I keep this? Up top? Yeah, properties stays up top. So there it is. If I double click this, by the way, down here, let's say I'm on actions. I'll get myself over here now. If I'm on actions or whatever, and I want to change that curve, I would double click it and it would pull up the properties. So actions here. Sometimes my properties, my windows change a little bit, but I always have actions at the top, adjustments in the middle because I use them so much. And then these layers are always at the bottom. A pretty standard layout for most editors, by the way. You'll see a lot of people have a similar setup. These toolbars can be dragged over to left and right, but I keep mine on the left and I keep those other things on the right. So that's what the solar curve is. Now, you don't want to create this every time. You would just go nuts. So all you want to do when you create a new one is where the actions are here. There's a little guy right there. And when you click it, it says new action. That icon, you'll see it's the same icon down here where you would normally make new layers. That icon represents just a new blank something. So in this case, we'll name it solar curve. So we have a new action, and I'm going to hit the record button. And now anything I do from this point forward is recorded until I tell it to stop. And you'll see the red button going on. Now, it's not physically recording you. It's just going to record the next set of keystrokes. So the next few keystrokes are going to look like this. It would be your adjustment layer there. I'm not going to go through the whole thing again, but you would do the bendy up, bendy down, bendy up, bendy down, get it to where you want it. Okay. Then as soon as that's done, you are going to stop recording. Now, I inadvertently clicked that a bunch. I made 3 curve adjust layers, but this top curve adjust layer is the one I just made and recorded. So if I were to play this solar curve, you see it right there. If I were to play this, it should, get rid of these. I think I made too many layers on I recorded too many layers. Oh my gosh. I'll do this again. All right. But when I play it, it's just going to do this. It's just going to pop a curve layer on top. Now, a lot of times I like to rename those. So again, let me get rid of this. I'm going to delete this whole action. I'm going to do it one more time. And this time I'll try to do it the right way. So I'm going to do a new solar curve. Record. This time you can follow along if you want. And again, you're going to go all the way to the top, all the way to the bottom. And it would end up, obviously your curves would be better than mine were. Okay, so that's what it would end up looking like. And, all right. Okay, so it would end up looking like this. Go over to actions. Now, the last thing I would do as I'm recording this, I would double click here and just name it solar curve. And that will also record in the action. Gosh. There we go. So now I've recorded that in the action as well. And now I'm going to stop it. So now I'll delete it. And my solar curve is, bam. There it is. That's it. Solar curves in a nutshell. Hope you enjoyed.